Hey guys, it's Hank. I'm coming back at you with another survival tactics video, and this is clearing Corvega close quarter battle CQB. So I'm starting the operation at a bit of a disadvantage. Number one, I do not like to go in through the pipe entry. But when I went up to grab the repair bobblehead at the top, Codsworth fell off the top, and I knew he'd be going back to Sanctuary, and I was already on the ground anyway. I hadn't gone through the pipe entry in a while, and I went ahead and decided to go ahead and try and infiltrate in through this way. Now you'd think, okay, it's kind of a secret-looking entrance. I'm coming in through the back. You know, I may be able to surprise some of these raiders. But in fact, if you go through the pipe entrance, you're at a severe disadvantage throughout the entire campaign because you're beneath all of the catwalks that the raiders can ambush you from that are above you. So it's just, it's a lot harder to infiltrate this way. I wasn't even certain I was going to survive. And once you come into the pipe entrance, you're basically stuck between three different main warehouses where the raiders are operating. So there's a lot of different places where they could come out from and potentially ambush you from. So what I'm going to do is clear an area and try and make the raiders come to me and fight to me on my own terms. So right now I'm just picking up a little bit of equipment and getting ready to move on into the base. One thing I do like to do, and I highly recommend that you do when you're playing on a high-level survival difficulty, is to clear an area before you decide to loot it. And you'll see me do this a couple of times during the video. Like right now, even as I'm progressing up this hall, I'm getting the caution symbol because I know that there's a raider just on the other side of this wall. There's going to be raiders in the warehouse directly ahead. It's the door that's going to be up there on my left down the hall. It's just a real difficult point of entry. So we should take this guy out. And that pipe weapon that I'm using right there, it's good, it's silenced, it's fast, it's deadly, but it also, it's difficult to control the recoil. So we'll be upgrading that weapon as soon as I can find something a little bit better. But the fact that I could add a suppressor to it has made it critical for me to carry. So there's plenty of loot in this hall. I'm ignoring it. I'm ignoring those boxes for now. Just grabbing some of the critical stuff off the raiders as I pass. Okay, there's loot there. I'm going to skip it because you just don't want those guys creeping behind you. Sticking to the shadows like they're my best friend. They are. I've made a foolish decision to wear metal armor on my legs as I came into this area. So while I'm fairly stealthy, not moving and standing in the darkness or crouching in the darkness, anytime I move, the weight of my armor is just giving my position away. And if I had been a little bit smarter, I'd have come equipped with leather. Because taking the hits, I know raiders prefer ballistic weapons. That's why I chose the metal armor. But for this particular engagement, I wish I had carried a little bit of leather with me. If you have lightweight leather, it's not really a big deal to carry it. Swap it in, drop the metal, come back, pick the metal up later. Now, this example of the lights you can't take out. And now I know I've got raiders that can come at me from a couple of different directions. They can come at me through that main door there, from the warehouse that was from that door that was to the left earlier. They can come down those stairs. So what I'm trying to do is, number one, I'm trying to stay away from all that gas on the floor. And number two, I'm trying to make the raiders fight me on my own terms. If I can get them to engage me one by one, in this room where I have cover, and they're near my explosives, then I have the tactical upper hand. Because I know I can't be outflanked here. It's going to be hard for them to grenade me here. So I'm drawing a little noise by standing up, moving around, trying to give them an idea that I'm here. Now, if I can blast it before they waste the mine, I'm going to do it. But you see, the Raider just did come in from that other side of the warehouse, detonated the first mine. I don't know how many it was. We'll see the bodies here in a second. And that second mine detonated the fuel that would have been below me. Now, this was kind of a foolish thing. Don't throw your mines out there and stand on them, because if there did happen to be another Raider there that was in close proximity to that mine, I'd have blown myself up. It's an easy mistake to make. You make it in haste, and sometimes you make it a little more. No matter how good you are, you'll make that mistake more than once, probably. So now we're going back, and we're going to grab the. Even though we're in the danger symbol, I know there's only really one area that I can get ambushed from. I've mined that other door, so he's not coming through there. They're going to come from above me on that catwalk. So we're going to take the opportunity to grab the loot here so we don't have to come back and grab it. And if the guy decided to come down those stairs while I'm grabbing that loot, all the better, because I can attack him from this hallway. I've got 2 different doors I can attack from. So I'll have a tactical advantage despite the fact that he has elevation over top of me. And if you watch one of my earlier videos, darkness, distance, and range are your best friends when it comes to survival, especially when you mod it to increase your difficulty, because I am taking 4 times the amount of normal damage a Raider would deal me. I've got the Raider Overhaul mod added, and I've got the Super Mutants Overhaul mod added, so it definitely increases more of the Commonwealth with more spawns. So I wanted to comment real quickly on one of Oxhorn's videos. He said, modding, is it cheating? And absolutely not. I mean, you're basically taking some of these resources that the community is offering to make a game that you're going to enjoy. And I enjoy that intensity of difficulty. And those mods have enabled me to make the game more difficult, because I've played over probably 3,000 hours of Fallout 3, and at this point probably 1,500 hours of Fallout 4. There's another example where I throw a mine where quite easily a Raider could have been around that corner and it would have detonated under my feet. So there's a couple of times in this video you see me get very lucky, because like I said, pipe entrance is not my preferred point of entry. There's a lot of jokes you could probably make about that, going in through the back door and whatnot, but I try not to be too childish. So here we are on this darkened area, the catwalk, and I'm going to try and stick to the shadows as best I can, because now we've got 2 different engagement points. We've got the warehouse that's going to be to my left at this point, and the other part of the complex that's directly ahead through those double doors. So I'm going to hang out here in the shadows. I'm kind of ruminating on strategy a little bit. But again, I'm going to use the mines to prevent myself from being flanked. So I go underneath this stairwell in order to stay in the darkness and give myself an opportunity to see what's down that hall without exposing myself. And I'm only grabbing, armor and food. Only grabbing ammo and food. And some interesting things that I've seen with the Raider Overhaul that's been added that I don't know what they look like, and just out of sheer curiosity. I also like to pick up the shades, the wraparound goggles and stuff. It's one less thing I have to craft to give to my settlers, and that gives them a little personality, especially if they have an ugly face. Coming in, grabbing the ammo. Now, Gristle was the guy that was killed, was one of the Raiders that we killed way back in Concord. He was the guy that ran the party. He was the one that had the key that unlocks that supply closet there behind. Now I detonate that oxygen tank or fuel tank to draw any attention. So I'm thinking maybe a raider is going to come towards me from that other side of the building, and I'm using the grenades now to kind of feel out where the enemy is and flush him out or draw him to the areas that I want to draw him to, because I have those double doors closed and mined that lead into the other area of the complex. And if I hear that mine detonate, then I know that that area is open. I could be flanked from there. I need to pay more attention to it. I skip picking up the crossbow, even though crossbows of the Commonwealth is pretty cool. But at the difficulty setting that I've tried to create here, there's a reason that automatic weapons and sniper rifles and stuff were invented. It's a reason why military units are not using a crossbow. Okay, so I'm doing a sweep above. Not really necessary, but with Raiders of the Commonwealth Overhaul, I've been surprised before. Or a Raider Overhaul, rather. Grab a little loot before we're heading out. Sweet. Now, my preferred access point to Corvega is actually in this part of the warehouse that we're about to infiltrate, because it's going to it gives you overhead tactical superiority, and it gives you a good view. It enables you to take out some lights early. It's just way easier than coming fight. Basically, I'm fighting my way uphill the whole time. So that far platform directly ahead, almost where my sights are, is where you would drop in from that access point that's on the roof. And from there you could drop the spotlights. You could grenade a little more effectively than where I'm standing right now. So I'm just trying to stay definitely out of the range of those spotlights, because this engagement here, even though I'm above it, I'm approaching it from a difficult angle, and I'm gonna get hit. And this almost cost me my life. This is a little bit of a mistake here. Throwing that grenade over there, I was a little long, and it may have been actually that I was trying to throw a frag mine. I thought that I had that hotkeyed in, but I didn't, so it really doesn't make any difference. So I've thrown that mine down through the area I knew they were going to come out of. It's kind of like a little barracks area for them. Okay, and I'm going to double up on that because I don't know if I killed them all. And now the lights caught me. And at this juncture, I'm far enough away that I'm not exactly sure if I can get outflanked. And this is where that guy is able to get a little grazing fire on me. It takes about half of my health away and just wrecks my arm. So the only time I use stim packs, or I don't really use stim packs to recover health, but I do use the stim packs to recover damage, because stim packs dehydrate you and they provide you no other real benefit to healing when you could eat something. The healing's a little slower, but it's in survival. The healing is slow with the stim packs anyway. So still trying to find a dark area, and the spotlight keeps lighting me up. And if I'd come through that top entrance, that wouldn't have been a problem. So I gave myself a little bit more of a challenge this time. But, you know, that's what makes a good YouTube video. You guys didn't check in to see something something easy. You checked in to see something a little more difficult. Now, that scroll through the menu, what I was desperately searching for was some berry mentats. I love those berry mentats because what they do is they highlight enemy positions. So all this guesswork about where the enemy might be, they'd be radiating sort of this purple faint hue. And I like to use those berry mentats, but they do require the antifreeze bottle, which is pretty rare. And I'm just going to go ahead and finally take that spotlight out. It caused me a lot of problems. So this area is clear, and that leaves 3 more essential areas to clear. We've got the main entry that you would come in if you were just going to walk right through the front of the building, which doesn't work very well, but it works better than the pipe entry. I think is probably the hardest way to enter Corvega. And then we've got the main battle floor where Jared is, and we've got the area that some of the raiders were coming out of initially. That main door that was on my left when I first entered the pipe hall before I went down the long halls into that first warehouse area. So anytime I move in, they can hear me. And these guys are on the other side of the wall. So that metal armor was a real mistake that I've regretted the entire time. And I'm seeing now, checking it out, seeing if the doors are open. And they are. So the mine did its job. So we'll mine it again. I couldn't remember if I had detonated that tank or not. I know I shot 1 of 2, and that one too probably was useless. I couldn't use it to draw anything. So we've got that mine there. That's going to give me a little safety as I turn around and come back down to the shadowed areas. I'm trying to get the long view again. So long view down the hall from the dark area. I see there's no direct threats. One thing I do not like to be is tired. So I always carry a little Nuka-Cola Quantum. Nothing is better. So if you get a little tired, anytime you're in a dungeon, drink a Nuka-Cola Quantum. They're easy enough to find. The Nuka-Cola and the Nuka-Cola Cherry and other variations work to keep you awake, but the Quantum keeps you awake the longest, and that will easily carry me through the rest of the adventure. I'm also enjoying the expired painkillers. They've got a slight effect. It's not great, but it's enough to keep taking them, and I haven't become addicted to them. So I think it's probably got a fairly low rate of addiction. So I'll eat the expired painkillers, and they're fairly abundant with the Raider Overhaul. The Raiders tend to carry them a lot. Now this is the next area that I intend to clear, is the front entry. So we've mined it to make sure that we can't be outflanked. They can hear me. And we're using the cover. So 1, 2. And I'm feeling a lot safer now. And this is pretty foolish of me, because I didn't realize exactly how many enemies we did have up here. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use grenades to pop them around that corner there on the right to ensure that I don't have anybody that can ambush me as I walk across towards that door. Those grenades, I'm going to probably throw a couple in there for good measure to make sure I can't get ambushed and shot in the back. So satisfied at this point, there's no raider there. It's time to move. Check it. Move. Close the door. Which was a mistake. I almost get killed because I closed that door. But there, by the grace of God, I'm saved once again. Just, I guess, through... This is something you can't teach. It's just from playing thousands of hours of Fallout that the reflexes took over, and I ended up getting away from a very dangerous situation. So I think a raider's approaching. I decided to take cover behind this desk, and my intent is just to shoot him directly from the other side of this desk, taking cover ballistically. I'm surprised. Runs out, chucks a grenade in. I tried to get out through the door, and it was closed. So by opening it and being behind that bookcase, I was shielded from the blast radius of the grenade. And I gotta say, pure luck. Pure luck. Otherwise, that would have been the end of Inara's adventure through Corvega. So, right now, I can just do a quick rating, pick up some of the legendaries, grab some of the stuff that I haven't seen before. Yeah, pick up the lightweight stuff. I was kind of interested surprised to see the Raiders carrying the laser muskets. I hadn't seen that before. Something with the Raider Overhaul. The dog food, the canned dog food, I generally don't eat. But I do keep it because I like it for the traps for the dogs. Because you can trap the dogs and have friendly dogs, and they enhance the happiness of your settlements. The rest of the food that I'm picking up, even the irradiated food, I create a huge stockpile of food because when I do settlement building on survival, it takes a long time to get things right. I'm a bit of a perfectionist. In fact, I'm working on a settlement right now called Grey Garden Castle, and it's taken me a lot longer to build than I thought it would, but I'm trying to make the best presentation for you guys, so when you come to the channel to watch or take a look at some Fallout builds, you're seeing something that you haven't seen before, using some of the textures that are included with the mods, so we can all give our nod to the modding community and give our thanks to the modding community for these resources they provided us for this enhanced level of gameplay. Now, right there at the desk, at the bottom of the desk, just there, it's on the left side of the desk from where I'm standing. Right there, I'll look at it in a moment. Right there is a trap that if it hadn't been detonated with an explosive earlier, it's a tripwire that's easily missed that will detonate an explosive near that desk that will kill you if you're trying to exit the plant through the front door. Ordinarily, if I had gone in through my preferred access point, the rooftop access point, then I would have been leaving through the front door. But since I have to clear it in a different way, I am going to be leaving in a different way. So now I'm certain that no raiders can now ambush me from this area. They could potentially come down those stairs, but I've found that to be a rare thing because that's 3 or 4 stories up from where I'm going to this basement area. I pick up movement of a raider between these 2 pipes, but the game is you can't shoot through it. It's almost like it's a solid wall. I am using cover. I do grab adhesives because if you're out in the wasteland on survival, you have enough adhesive with you. You can pretty much scavenge the rest of the components that you need real quick to add, a weapon modifier that you want in the fight right now. So, gosh, I'm missing all over the place with it. Like I say, this pipe gun has a little bit of, actually has a lot of recoil that's difficult to control. So we'll be upgrading that at the first available opportunities to a little bit more stable firing platform. I always carry 2 weapons. One is my long-range weapon, and I favor ballistics over energy weapons. The only energy weapon I really like is the Gauss rifle, because it's, I think, pound for pound the most powerful weapon in the game. Because when it's fully charged, you can destroy cars with it. You can one-hit sentry bots if you're hidden. It's the energy weapon that you can silence. I also like plasma, but I rarely ever use it because it's not suppressed. But I do like it as a sniper weapon. It's got good distance, good range, and plenty of stopping power. So again, here's an example of where you can target something, but just the way it's set up, you can't. Firing from cover with a sniper rifle and using the aim sight is just, I don't think it's possible. It's just such a complicated thing. It would leave you exposed too long. The better thing to do is just get the angle that you want and destroy whatever you're trying to destroy before it gets you. Now, I happen to know from experience over on the other side, there's a Raider that just doesn't like to come out of this little area where he's building explosives. That grenade was a little to the left. This has got a lower trajectory. Right in there where I want it. Everything all those explosives are gone. Raider over there is gone. I'm feeling pretty secure about this area as far as it being cleared. Grab the drugs, grab the ammo, look for anything else. It's pretty interesting. Sticking to the shadows. More ammo. The shades. Okay. Now, from experience, I know ferals come out here. The frag mine I dropped there, I've tried this like 100 times to get those ferals just to explode as they come out onto that frag mine. And I try it every time just to see if I can get a different result in different ranges. It just doesn't do it, but it does warn me exactly when those ferals are coming out. So the buzz axe I hadn't seen before. So skeleton costume I hadn't seen before, so it's going to be interesting. And you see me now, I'm definitely grabbing the glass because I'm getting low on purified water. I know I'm going to need it. I'm going to grab everything but the cross. Well, I did grab that crossbow because it's flaming. I like to test the weapons out that the modders have added for us, because they're cool. I mean, the crossbow is kind of a cool thing. It's a silent weapon. Now this takes us back to where the pipe entry is. You can see where we first entered the building. And now we're going to go do the job that we came to do. I'm going around kind of, back in a circle to get to the stairwell area that we're going to use to go up. The elevator there would take you to the top level, but when those elevator doors open, you're going to be lit up like a Christmas tree. And when stairs are available, I generally will always take the stairs because it gives me more options than being trapped in an elevator. You got nowhere to go if a Raider or a turret is right there in your face when the doors open. You're just going to get shot or blown to pieces. I'm quietly coming up these stairs because this right here potentially could be the most intense battle of clearing Corvega, but if done right, it's fairly simple. And this is how I like to approach it. Avoid the lights. You'll see targets in here that you could shoot. Avoid the temptation to just start shooting. I'm taking the Calmax for a little extra sneak attack damage, which is going to enable me to one-shot any Raider, even the boss. And the buff tats carry just to have that little extra bit of constitution and perception. So if I have to use VATS, I'll be a little bit better of a shot, and I'll be able to take a little bit more damage, and I'll be able to carry a little more weight, because nothing's worse than grabbing something in the middle of a firefight. So those two Raiders I just ignored. I'm here in the shadows, and what we're going to do is release that Protectron, which will provide a sufficient distraction and enough noise for me to conceal myself in the shadows and hit the targets that I want to hit with my sniper rifle, despite the fact that it's not silenced. So I'm going to do a little quick hack here. Now we got it. gotta be discs, man. I thought I'd figured it out before, but... There it is, the Protectron is now engaging the lower enemies, and there's the boss I want dead, Jared. So he's going to be my first target, if I can get a beat on him. If not, I'll take a target of opportunity. Oh, he's gone. Next is going to be that pesky turret. Now we could leave at this point, but we want the loot. It's all about the loot. We didn't come this far to leave empty-handed. Even though Inara is a Minuteman-based character, there's no sense in not being mercenary. And she walks the line. Definitely mercenary. And at the movie theater, the drive-in, I think I'm going to create a kind of like a Minuteman prison camp sort of thing where Inara can exact a little revenge with some of the contraptions to create some really interesting ways to kill raiders. So it'll be like a giant Rube Goldberg device with raider killing. So I've started the process, but the builds take quite a while, so they take me about a week. Yesterday I spent about 8 hours on that castle Grey Garden. Now, interestingly enough, I think I've cleared the entire plant. I think these two raiders I lay that mine for spawn in from somewhere, and this raider fiend surprised me. I didn't realize I hadn't cleared the area. But we'll drop that fool. Okay, so she's got to be over. If she's not there, I'm in the darkness. She's got to be over on the right side. And what's the easiest way to hit a target you can't see? Explosives. I haven't taken any ranks in Explosives Expert at this point, so I'm not getting any throwing arcs or anything. Fortunately, I've got enough experience with explosives to be able to use them effectively without needing the grenade arc assistance, but it is very nice to have. And I'm using the hide here every once in a while just to see if I'm getting a caution, if another raider had walked in or I had missed one. Now, as soon as I start to raid Jared's body, that mine is going to detonate from those two raiders coming up the stairs, wherever they spawn from. That's the experience that's from it. You can hear the explosion in the background. And I'm going to take a look over there with the sniper rifle and make sure I got both of them with the mine. Appears that I did. Bingo. Grabbing Grognak. Now my luck is garbage. It's like, I think my luck is 2. Because I make my own luck, and if you're not relying heavily on VATS and you're using the critical conservation principle I talked about in one of my earlier YouTube videos, you don't need that much luck. There's enough junk that you can grab, especially when you have War of the Commonwealth and Raider Overhaul and Super Mutant Overhaul, that you can sell, and you have plenty of money, especially if you're picking up the right items. Oh, I think we've pretty much cleared the plant. Now we're just going to grab the last of the loot. Still, I'm exercising a little caution. I've been surprised a couple of times clearing this interior area of the plant before, and I don't want to repeat the mistake now that we're here at the finish line. We're using drop hide essentially to check for cautions or dangers every once in a while. And because nothing's worse than watching somebody just crawl on their hands and knees through an entire complex because they're scared. If you have enough ranks and stealth and you're wearing the right armors, you're still fairly stealthy moving along, not in a hide position. You don't necessarily have to be in the hide position to not be detected. You go into hide essentially when you want to conceal yourself from an enemy that you know is there. You don't always have to be moving in that position. It makes the game slow, and it's just painful to watch. Some people do that, and it's a little unrealistic to me to crawl on your hands and knees through an entire complex. Just man up, have the balls, go out there and attack it with a little strategy. We're going to pick up the last of the loot and head back out into the Commonwealth through one of the over entries. This has been Hank. I hope you enjoyed the close quarter battle, and I will catch you guys later, hopefully with a new build. See ya.